because the roll it back Yankees are rolling it back. But we will be here to discuss this offseason in whatever form that it is with my boy Luca here. It's your dude Donald, and we will be breaking down this Yankee stuff. You are welcome to another episode of the Pinstripe Chronicles. Bigger and better than before. What is going on? That's right. Everybody hit the like button. Hit the share button. Sub up, sub up, sub up. And let's get down to business. Luca, A, how was your weekend? And B, what's your thoughts on this offseason?
Well, first of all, good morning to everybody in the chat. Good morning to you, Donald. I hope everybody survived the snow conditions fairly well. Obviously, for half of the United States, it was a snowstorm, ice storm, whatever you want to call it. For me, it wasn't so bad. It's just frigid temperatures, as I was telling you, Donald. About 20 degrees here right now in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Just freezing rain, a little bit of snow. That's it. Not too much. Not too much ice. The roads seem fine. Hope you, like as I said, I hope you all survived. Whatever you survived. I know my mom up in New York and my family up in New York, they were predicted to get 8 to 12 inches. They instead got 23 inches of snow. So that's over a foot of snow. But once again, hopefully you all survived that, and the cold temperatures hopefully warms up for you all eventually. But for the Yankees, on a note, it's just like the quote from Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog's Day again. But that's what it is. That's what it is for the Yankees. Obviously, we're going to discuss whether the Yankees improved or not. People are going to, I think Michael Kay said it or Aaron Boone said it, if I'm not mistaken. It came out fairly recently. Aaron Boone basically said, or whoever, that the Yankees' improvements basically came from the trade deadline last year. I don't know if you caught that, Donald. That's something very notable. You guys should take a look at that. That was on Twitter somewhere. Somebody notable posted it. But once again, it's the same old usual. Michael Kay lashing out at Yankee fans for being so-called ungrateful. But, we'll obviously dig into it. But as currently constructed, no, they are not better than last year. Yes, Garrett Cole is coming back healthy. But again, I think I'm not going to say he remains a question mark, but you obviously don't want the Yankees to rush him. You want him to be back healthy. You want him to be back strong. You want him to be back 100%. And you want him back to be prime form. So obviously there's a lot of pressure there with a lot of question marks in the organization. But I'm just excited to talk about it with the chat, just on a very much an open basis.
That's right. That's right. Let's break down this offseason in whatever form that it is. It all started when Brian Cashman made clear that he was very, very proud of this team as it was when they got obliterated. Their doors blown off by the Toronto Blue Jays, and he was like, I'm really, really proud of this team. And I'll leave it to the masses to decide what their thoughts are. That summed up where the Yankees are. Let's be honest. It sums up where the Yankees are. So anyway, we move on. They do absolutely nothing through the general meetings, the winter meetings, and passed on every free agent in the world. And that was it, really. Cade Winquist, just bringing back the same team, Ahmad Rosario and all that. And then we fast forward, and then we finally make a deal for Weathers. What's your thoughts on Ryan Weathers? And where is he going to slot in? Is he a rotation piece, or do you think he'll eventually move to the bullpen?
At the time, I think it was like one of my first shows that I actually came on here for as official co-host. We did the Ryan Weathers trade. We analyzed it. Kind of a low-risk move. It's like, okay, he's just a piece. He's a supplemental piece. He's likely, in my opinion, going to be a long reliever eventual. Maybe like a spot starter if like the starters need to rest, because the Yankees obviously have arms ahead of him in the rotation. You have Max Fried, you have Luis Gil, you have a couple other guys, you have Will Warren. But I didn't think too much of this move where it's like, oh, well, I didn't say, I'll put it to you this way. Was it going to make the Yankees offseason? Was it going to break the Yankees offseason? It was just a supplemental move. The Yankees didn't give up a lot, but the dude has some injury prone, has some forearm issues or has had a history of such, and he also gives up the home run ball just a little too much. So it's just just a small move in my opinion. It's not a huge deal.
Okay. Do you envisage him? Where do you envisage him slotting into the rotation, or do you think if they add another star, do you think he moves to the bullpen?
Um, I think as I said, I think he's more of a spot starter, like maybe in the back end of the rotation. But if the Yankees somehow do add a starter, I think he goes to the bullpen as a long reliever. But once again, I don't see the Yankees adding another reliever. I'm sorry, starter. Excuse me. I don't see the Yankees adding another starter. I think they're pretty much done with their offseason plans.
I think they are too. Actually, you know that. I will say, I think he's got a slightly higher upside than spot starter.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was actually pretty good last year.
Right.
His numbers were pretty good. So, like, I actually quite like the deal. As I say, we gave up really nothing for him, and there is upside there. It's just, it's not his stuff which concerns me. It's actually his injury history.
Right.
Because I mean, last year, let's be fair, 3.99 ERA in Miami is actually pretty good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna like dismiss that. It's not too bad at all. And he actually did well against the Yankees in a start, which is which is probably why the Yankees liked him. But yeah, he shut the Yankees down last year during one of the series. So obviously piqued Brian Cashman's interest. But you know, a 3.99 ERA is nothing too bad. And then obviously 2024 was actually pretty good too. 3.63 ERA. So yeah, he's actually been okay. I think he's going to be fine. I could see him being better than some make him out to be. Yeah, I can see him slotting in there as a fourth starter, something like that. I'd be okay with that deal. I don't think there's anything wrong with that deal.
No.
It's just really, it's really just injuries with him. But that's going to be a big thing. That's going to be a big story of this Yankee team. And again, the Yankees get to use it as an excuse and a crutch at the same time because they have the media to defend them at all costs. Oh, they've gotten unlucky with injuries. Well, I mean, you keep signing guys that are injured.
Yeah,
But
it's on repeat. Yeah.
it's on repeat. It's the same story every year. But no, I don't hate the deal. The deal's fine. And I could see him being better than Will Warren. I'm not a big Will Warren fan, and I honestly think that Darren Weather is better than Will Warren. So that's just my opinion. But yeah, he does have arm trouble that's plagued him, as Dave Rice says here. Andy Carnival asks, Framber and Gallen are still not signed. Does
That's true.
Framber
They're
go back
not.
to the Astros? Gallen go back to the D-backs? I love that they're not mentioned to the Yankees, of course.
It's true. I mean, in truth, Zach Allen had a down year last year, which was shocking, especially on a contract year. I mean, it was weird because Alcantara had a bad year last year. He's obviously not a free agent, but he was remarked as one of the top pitchers in baseball. Same thing for Zach Gallen. Had a bad year last year. Obviously, he's a free agent now, which is currently hurting his stock. I think Framber Valdez is a very good left-handed pitcher. I think the Yankees could obviously need another starter since they've missed out on numerous names. They missed out on Cease. They missed out on Freddie Peralta, who just got traded to the Mets. So they definitely do need a proven insurance name. I mean, even when Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon and Clark Schmidt get back healthy, I think that's still a damn good rotation with that addition. So regardless, it would be better if the Yankees made the move, whether it was for the sake of injuries, not for the sake of injuries. I think the Yankees, would be very comfortable adding either of them, in my opinion. Man, Valdez, I think I've always liked him. He's been a very good pitcher, very good off-speed stuff. So I'm fine with that. And I know he has controversy around what was that one incident. I don't know if it was against the Yankees where he threw a fastball at his catcher. I don't know if you catch my drift. There was an incident last year which kind of gave a lot of fans a negative opinion on. I'll look that up for you. Let me research that.
Oh, well, you know what the Yankees are like with that. They kind of have anybody that doesn't um, act like altar boys. So that, I mean, let's be honest, the Yankees don't like those kind of characters, so they'll probably steer clear of him. So we move forward, and then we finally get to a point where we get Cody Bellinger signed. So Bellinger's back. Now we have a look at where we're at now, because we've got Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones. Those two poor dudes. What are we gonna do with Dominguez and Spencer Jones? I mean, for me, their treatment of Jason Dominguez needs to be studied. Like, I honestly don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't make sense to me. This guy was nicknamed the Martian because of his otherworldly talent, but the Yankees have already pigeonholed him as a fourth starter. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. Like, what sense does that make? That they've gone above and beyond to defend Anthony Volpe. They've continued to steer clear of free agency in order to keep Anthony Volpe a shortstop, regardless of how he performs. And he performed much worse than Jason Dominguez did last year.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a
double or triple the up in playing time as well.
Absolutely.
Some more playing time, and he played a hell of a lot worse than Dominguez. But the Yankees have already told us Dominguez can't hit right-handed, and he can't play defense. They've already pigeonholed him as that. Well, what about Volpe? He can't hit, and he can't play defense either. So, I mean, what is it that you want? But it's double standards.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to improve as a fourth outfielder. What's he going to do there? He's only young. He's only like 22, 23 years old, something like that. He's young. He's still got a lot to develop, and the Yankees just won't develop him. They've pigeonholed him. They forced him in left field when he's not a left fielder. Made him look bad because they didn't really give him the training that he requires, and that's it. Now they're going to give up on him and have him as a fourth starter or trade him away for pennies on the dollar. Just honestly, I think that the treatment of that kid doesn't make any sense at all. When he first got called up, he was a freaking monster. He was great. He was exactly what everyone was excited about with Dominguez. Like, he started great. Then he got hurt. Then he needed surgery. Went away. He comes back, but the Yankees have given the job to Verdugo, and never really gave Dominguez an opportunity to get that job back. Then we move forward to 2025, and then he can't get past Trent Grisham, and now we're going into 2026, and now he's not going to get past Bellinger or Grisham. So it's just like, what are you going to do with him? And then we're not even getting to the point where Spencer Jones, who's 25, is going to spend another year in AAA. Honestly, the Yankees' development of these two is just bananas. It doesn't make any sense at all. There's nothing more that Spencer Jones needs to learn in AAA. He's done it. He's hit the cover off the ball. You make a decision with this kid. I just don't understand, man. I really don't. Look,
it's incredibly nefarious. Just a remark on the Framber Valdez thing. It was actually against the Yankees last year where he gave up a grand slam. Now, I don't know who it was to, regardless. So apparently what happened was his catcher, Salazar, signaled for, hey, step off the mound. But Valdez refused, in which he threw a fastball and hit his catcher. Now, he did apologize and say, hey, I'm sorry for hitting my catcher, whatever. Just wanted to remark on that. But I think he still has very good numbers, regardless. Not the point. Going back to the whole Dominguez, Spencer Jones thing, I spoke about this at like I don't know if it was last time or the last show, the previous one. I said the Yankees always throw in their little stopgaps. They threw in the stopgap for Dominguez coming back from injury, which was rightfully so, because he was coming off Tommy John surgery. Not to mention the Yankees mishandled his diagnosis and surgery because they discovered it way too late. So missed him. If this was his rookie season, if you guys remember, he had to have Tommy John surgery. He had to wait. He had to be out a couple of months. Like, okay, signed Verdugo. A lot of fans liked the move, so it's like, okay. But once Dominguez was healthy, and you saw that Verdugo was not playing as nearly as advertised, you got to go with Dominguez, the young kid. And now you're in a position, Donald, where you're absolutely right, where the Yankees, where his value is what, pennies on the dollar? Because once again, he was the Martian. When he came up to the big leagues in 23, he was hitting homer after homer after homer after homer, distributing that power that everybody wanted to see. And obviously the defense was a work in progress. But to me, what I would have done last year, I think I mentioned this, not on this stream, but like other streams, I was like, okay, 2025 off season, what you got to do is sign Teoscar Hernandez, have him play left field, Judge in right field, and Dominguez play center field. Because Dominguez is rangy. He's not exactly a corner outfielder, a boundary outfielder. He's more rangy. He's in center field. Let him stay there. Let him have all the range. Now, is he like the type to call off an Aaron Judge or whoever? I don't know. But you see that but you want to see that happen. You want to see some sort of progress there. Left field, Dominguez has been a major bust. And that's once again the Yankees supplanting a player, I should say a player to a certain position. They did the same thing with Clint Frazier. Clint Frazier could not play right field, yet the dude was committing error after error after error, and the Yankees kept playing him there. I'm pretty sure he was traditionally a left fielder. Could be wrong on that, but it's not the first time that the Yankees have sabotaged one of their young players. So once again, Jason Dominguez, just like Clint Frazier, is going to be possibly traded for pennies on the dollar. So you look at that, Spencer Jones, Donald, you mentioned it. He should be ready by now. He should be ready. Now you have 4 outfielders, Bellinger, Jones, Grisham, and Dominguez. Who's missing playing time? Because you have Trent Grisham on the hook for $21 million this year. Who's going to be that platoon outfielder? I think it's going to be Dominguez or possibly Spencer Jones spending more time in AAA in favor of service time, which the Yankees love delaying service time. To so many, we could talk about so many times. Oswald Peraza being one of them. Jason Dominguez was a victim of service time. So the Yankees will continue to delay that kind of thing to get the extra year of service time with young players. But at the end of the day, the Yankees' handling of Jones and Dominguez is incredibly nefarious. Trent Grisham being back is ridiculous. Cody Bellinger being signed to the contract that he was ridiculous. But all in all, it's the Yankees are in a no-win position because they put themselves there. They have nobody to blame but themselves.
Right.
I actually thought at the end of the offseason last year when Juan Soto went to the Mets, I thought that the Yankees were going to send out their media minions to say, hey, look, Jason Dominguez is the next Juan Soto. Nobody put him up to that. And here's the thing as well. We talked about this at length when we were doing the World Series in 24. Trent Grisham, Alex Verdugo got away with playing horribly. Judge was out there obviously doing his thing and whatever, but you never saw Grisham and you never saw Dominguez coming off the bench in those games. Even in the playoffs now, even in 2025 playoffs, Dominguez was barely coming off the bench. And he's got speed. You can use him as a pinch runner. You can use him as a bat to hit. I just don't understand the philosophy. It is a half-pregnant philosophy. It's like you want to win now, but also you want to develop these players. Once again, you're at cross purposes. That's what the Yankees are. They're at cross purposes. There's no plan. It is a very much half-pregnant philosophy.
Well, they are. There's definitely not a plan, and they just use the media to cover that up. Double A and AAA. Spencer Jones finished the year in the minors with 35 home runs, 80 RBIs, a 274 batting average, 362 on base percentage, a 571 slug, and an OPS of 932. Those are good numbers. And he was especially good in AAA, where he had 19 homers and 19 stolen bases in just 67 games, and a 555 slug. I mean, that's impressive stuff. Yes, his strikeout numbers were not good. The strikeout numbers were high, to be fair. Okay, Ben Rice is upset. Dave Rice in the chat. He's obsessed with his strikeouts. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's that's kind of his game, right? He strikes out a lot. He struck out 109 times in AAA and 70 times in AA. So altogether, 179 strikeouts. But in fairness, Aaron Judge's strikeout numbers were colossal in his first year or so in the bigs. But once he got the new hitting coach, it really turned it around. All Spencer Jones needs is just a more consistent swing and a more consistent approach, and I think he'll be absolutely fine. I think he's a really high-end talent. We're talking about someone that has great range in center field. He's got speed. He's got power. He's got athleticism. He's got all the kind of things that would make this Yankee team remotely interesting. But at the moment, he's completely blocked out, and I'm not quite sure where he's going to get an opportunity. I think he could get. I predict that obviously one of him and Dominguez is going to get traded.
I think so too. And the thing with Jones is, you mentioned all the strikeout numbers. If he just gets that new hitting coach, but the one fear I have with the Yankees is he's going to come up. He played great in AAA, and he's going to get yankified.
Yeah, he's going
they're going to have him practice that little uppercut golf swing, and it's going to lead to more strikeouts, less home runs. Now, this could be my old school self or whatever. I could be wrong. I'd like to see him have a happy medium. Lessen the strikeouts, create like a middle approach, right? If he can, and this is going to sound like wrong, maybe, I don't know, as I said, old school self, maybe a little less homers, a little less strikeouts, but more extra base hits, more doubles, like maybe have him hit 20, 30, 40 doubles a year. Again, for some players, it's not realistic. Like, have him use that power, not to where he's pulling all the time. Use the gaps. That's also a key thing. So, obviously, you want to drive the ball as a line drive. As somebody who played baseball, I know how that is and what coaches have taught me. But utilize the gaps. Don't always pull everything. I don't know his pull percentage, which the Yankees love teaching their hitters to pull, which pisses me off to no end. It's use all fields. That's what I was taught. That's, I think, a great balance for Spencer Jones. Use left center. Use right center. Use right field, left field. It makes you a less predictable hitter. But in order to the Yankees have to cut down his strikeouts. But I don't think they know how to cut down his strikeouts because look at the other prospects. Anthony Volpe swings and misses. They haven't fixed his swing. Remember the whole chicken parmesan nonsense? He's still the same player. So
exactly.
That's the one worry with Spencer Jones. I don't think that the Yankees are going to try to mitigate his approach at the plate, or I should say, fix his approach at the plate. I think they're going to just say, hey, you know what? We're going to fix you in our way, the way we want you to play, instead of like, you know what? What's successful for us, which is, okay, you want to lower the strikeouts. If you have to sacrifice some of the power, home run power, okay, use that for extra base hits. Again, old school guy here, but also just like make it more consistent, raise that on-base percentage, all those things involved, and OPS too.
The thing is, in AA, he did have a 389 on-base percentage. So those that are obsessing about strikeouts forget about the fact that the majors don't pay attention. Most teams don't pay attention to the number of strikeouts. They just don't care. They focus a lot on OPS and on base percentage and things like that. If you strike out a lot, as long as you walk a bit and have some power, they're pretty much okay with the strikeouts. So I'm not going to obsess about Spencer Jones' strikeout numbers. We know he does have an inconsistent batting stats. That is something that needs to probably get more consistent, needs to get settled down, but I like him. I think there's something there. That's not something that you just willingly get away from. Someone that has that kind of speed and that kind of power. I like him. I think there's something there. So one of him and Dominguez is going to get traded, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure of it. But I could definitely see Spencer Jones getting yankified. Say they trade Dominguez, right?
Right.
I could totally see a situation where they do to him what they did to Clint Frazier. Where Spencer Jones, let's say Trent Grisham gets injured. He goes on the 10-day IL, right? They call up Spencer Jones, right? Spencer Jones plays center field. I could almost picture that Spencer Jones has a great start. He plays a couple really good games, hits a freaking double off the top of the wall in his last at bat, and the Yankees then immediately send him back down to AAA because they did the same thing with everybody.
Oh, I forgot to mention Estevan Florial. Remember that name?
They did the same thing with everybody. They did the Esteban Florio, and they've done things to Clint Frazier. So they'll probably do the same thing with either Dominguez or Spencer Jones because that's what the Yankees do, unless you're Italian and you're from Jersey. In that case, Anthony Volpe has the shortstop job all to himself. So I'm sorry, you can't really convince me that there aren't double standards. Friday St. Jones is saying Jones is a bust. There's no evidence to say he's a bust because he's not played yet. So let's settle down on that. I'll tell you who is a bust. Anthony Volpe. He's a bust. Yeah. That is a confirmed bust. So anyway, the Yankees don't really have a plan. I think it is nefarious to have these guys not really have an opportunity to develop. So it stinks. I'm a big fan of them. But anyway, they're going to go all in on Trent Grisham, and they're going to hope that Cody Bellinger stays healthy for 5 years, and everything's going to be fine because the Yankees say so. But anyway, let's have a look at this roster. And first of all, what's your predictions? Where do you see the Yankees in the AL East? Are they going to be first, second, third, fourth? They're going to be a wild card team. What's your predictions as of today?
I think they're number 3. I would not be surprised if they win high 80s, low 90s type win team, like 92 games, 90 games, 91 games. I think they're a third wild card team. Toronto's made improvements. Yeah, even after making the World Series, they added Okamoto. They added Dylan Cease. The Red Sox, they're adding names. They just added Suarez from the Phillies. That's a big get for them. I think they might have made a trade as well. I'm forgetting who they – oh, that's right. They traded for Wilson Contreras. I know Bregman is gone, but I think they still have a pretty bang-up pitching rotation and bullpen. Also factor in as well that the Orioles have acquired Pete Alonso. I think that's a big name, big get from the Orioles. Rays really haven't done much this offseason. I think they're going to be like the 70-80 win team. But the Yankees, I think, are going to be stuck in third.
That's Sonny Gray. I like this Sonny Gray pickup.
Sonny Gray, yes, that is a huge pickup for the Boston Red Sox. I'll obviously look over the rosters as well just to double check, but I see the Yankees being a third place team, and that's pretty much that. I don't see them moving up or down. They kind of just went left this offseason. They kind of made lateral moves. They really didn't upgrade. They really didn't downgrade. But one of the things that I think remains concern for the Yankees on the pitching side of things is their bullpen, because they do not have a lot of power arms. I mean, we love David Bednar. He's fine in the closer role. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Duvall needs some work. He's a good pitcher, but he needs some work. Jake Bird, one of their supposed prime acquisitions, was sent immediately to AAA last year upon his first few appearances. He's been that bad. But obviously spring training is going to be a different story, or we hope it's a different story. But I don't know. They lost Evan Williams. They lost Luke Weaver. Again, Luke Weaver didn't exactly have a great year last year. Same thing for Devin Williams, but you're missing a firearm back there, your flamethrower. The Yankees just don't have that right now.
I agree, actually. They haven't looked at this bullpen, which makes me think that they're going to try and trade one of those two outfielders we talked about and try and maybe add some bullpen arms. But the bullpen is worse than it was last year. I don't think there's too much doubt about that. I'm open to anybody in the chat telling us otherwise, but I don't think this bullpen is better or even the same as last year. I think it's worse.
Mm-hmm.
The bullpen is worse. So and they've allowed a lot of arms that could have made a difference in free agency go already. So I don't think that they're going to spend big on this bullpen. As of right now, as of today, I agree. I think they're a third place team. I think it's the Blue Jays number one. I think that's all pretty much a given. Number two, like, honestly, I don't think there's going to be too much of a difference between the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Red Sox. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's going to be too much of a difference between the three. I think the three of them are going to beat each other up in games. But considering it's Aaron Boone, one, and because they have so many injuries to start the season, the Yankees, and they haven't really made any changes to this team, I can see them kind of getting out of the block kind of slowly. And I think it's going to set them back. And because we've already seen that the Yankees really struggle against the AL East, they have done traditionally for the last couple of years under Aaron Boone. Thus, I'm not all that confident that they're going to be anything higher than a third place team. So, yeah, I kind of have the Red Sox ahead. Wouldn't be surprised if the Orioles take second place. They could have a jump with Pete Alonso, with their young players having an extra year under them, maybe a better manager. I could see them being a second place team too. But at the moment, I'm probably going to go Red Sox too. I think I've kind of got it the same as you do, bro. I've got Toronto 1, Red Sox 2, Yankees 3, Orioles 4, Rays 5. But don't forget about the Rays, because the Rays love to beat up the Yankees. The O's like to beat up on the Yankees. The Red Sox like to beat up on the Yankees. And the Blue Jays love to beat up on the Yankees. So the Yankees could be a third place. They could be a fourth place team. They could be. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just confident about one thing. The Yankees will not win the division. I'm almost certain of that. That's almost a certainty. We've got Issy here, says here, over under 92 wins for the Yankees. I've got them under. Significantly
so far under.
I've got them under. I think they're an 89 win team. Maybe 90. Maybe 90. Might break 90.
It's plausible. And another addition, because I'm looking over the rosters, the Orioles also added Taylor Ward to bolster their offense a little bit. He's a solid outfielder acquired from the Angels. Their main question mark has been their starting pitching. I don't think they added anybody notable. They did add Andrew Kittredge in the bullpen, but also Felix Bautista's coming back from injury. Oh, that's right. They also added Ryan Helsley in the back of that bullpen. He's a good reliever, although he did have a bad bat with the Mets. Helsley will be a big pitcher for the Orioles, him and Bautista in the back of that bullpen. Also, Yennier Cano, too. So that bullpen, back of the bullpen, is going to be very good. The starters, once again, question mark. But even as Down, you absolutely said it. Even if the Rays are in fifth place, they're definitely going to take games off the Yankees. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to have an impact on who takes the division or who takes the second or third wild card spot. The Rays taking games off the Yankees is definitely going to impact something somewhere.
It's a tough division, man. It's a bear. It's the Rays are traditionally a well-managed organization. They got a really good general manager, a really great manager. Kevin Cash, great manager. He just makes the most out of his team, and Boone doesn't. So there's like a big difference there. And I do like the Red Sox a little bit more than I like the Yankees this year in terms of talent. I just think they're a little better. Or just in terms of the managed, I think they're better managed. And so I'm probably giving them the edge, like the Blue Jays. Even though they will miss Bichette, they've had a very good offseason. I think they've had a very, very good offseason. Their pitching is going to be much better. And they got Vlad. So they're in really good shape. And the O's, watch out for the O's this year. That's what I'm going to say. Watch out for the O's. I don't know if they've got quite enough pitching to beat the Yankees
Right.
and the Sox and the Jays, but I like them.
I think they have a nice flux of young talent. They had a bad year last year offensively. Now it depends on the young players bouncing back, like Rushman and Jackson Holiday, and those guys. Westberg. I'm probably missing a name or two, but their point remains their offense struggled last year. They obviously have Tyler O'Neill as well, who's been a power hitter, notably for the past 2 years. Although he did miss some time last year, hitting 199 in about like a very lackluster number of plate appearances. But Armand has a question about the Orioles. He says, let me pull it up. I just saw his comment. If the O's add Framber Valdez or Zach Gallen, would you put them over the Yankees?
Sure. Anything's possible. I mean, I'm not dismissing it. I don't think they're that far away anyway from the Yankees, quite honestly. I really don't. Not to be negative or anything like that. I just don't think that there's a huge difference between the Yankees and the other teams in the rest of the division. I think it's the Blue Jays are a clear steer ahead.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, like, I'm not going to say that the Yankees can't finish second. It's possible. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees finish fourth.
I wouldn't be
surprised. It's all very possible. I think the Rays are underrated. And I think the O's are underrated. And I think the Red Sox will have a good year because when do they have a with Alex Cora? I think he's a brilliant manager, and he gets the best out of his team. And they didn't really have a great team last year, and the Yankees were just exhausted after they got through them. They
just
were
remember, Donald. Just
beaten
remember,
down.
they traded Devers in like April and May,
Right?
and still made the postseason.
Could you imagine if they kept Devers? They would have pissed on the Yankees.
For sure.
Yeah. Jay Snow says we're running back the same team and banking on guys having the same career years.
Hypotheticals. That's what
It's all hypotheticals, and yeah, that brings us to our next point. So yeah, we've done our predictions. So you know what? I think the Yankees will maybe take the last wild card spot. Fair. Maybe I think that's their. I would say their ceiling is second. Floor is missing the playoffs altogether. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's like their floor. Like their floor is about 80, 85 wins, and their ceiling, I would say, is about 90 wins. I don't think that there's like anything can happen. Anything can happen between that range. But one thing is a certainty is this Yankees team is not a World Series team. They will not be making the ALCS under any circumstances. That is an absolute. You guys can write that down. You can write that down right now. You can bookmark it. You can timestamp this, and we could come back to this. But I will promise you one thing: the Yankees will not make the World Series, and their chances of making a CS are
slim to none.
Very, very slim. Very slim.
The entire American League, like the Mariners and Jays, would have to have some sort of cataclysmic collapse.
Yeah.
Mets fans since asked if the Yankees missed the playoffs, is Boone or Cashman gone? No, because we saw that in 2023. They missed the playoffs entirely. Aaron Judge was carrying the bulk of the team. You saw that roster. Remember, we had Franchi Cordero to start the season. We had a bunch of these mishmash players and all these different things. I don't have to go back to the roster. You know, we cut Donaldson midway through. We cut Hicks, I'm pretty sure, midway through the season. There's no recourse for failure in this Yankees organization.
None.
That's why, you know, Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman have been along for the ride to stick as long as since, or stick around as long as they have. I mean, pretty sure Aaron Boone, Donald mentioned it on one of the streams, might have been with the Bronx, might have been Pitcher Chronicles. Aaron Boone's the first Yankee manager to get extended without winning a World Series.
Multiple extensions.
Multiple.
But by the way, you say there's no recourse for failure. The Yankees don't view what's going on as a failure. And that's the key. They don't view this as a failure. They view this as a success. And that's why there's such a divergence between where the Yankees are as an organization and the fan base. And the Yankees are they have a bunker mentality. I've said this for a long time. They very much do. They surround themselves with yes men. They don't want to be told that their process is wrong. Their process isn't very good. But Brian Cashman keeps telling us how great his process is. But if you really honestly look at it, I think there's a divide within the Yankee fan base, and it's coming to a head right now because we have a younger generation that has never seen the Yankees win, okay? And even younger than yourself, Luca, right? That have never seen the Yankees win at all. And to be fair, are just happy to be there because they've never seen the Yankees actually a very good team. So they think what right now is a good team, right? And they're happy with it, right? And they will fight against those that have actually seen them win, right? And then you've got the older heads, and I'll put myself in that. And that, even though I'm on the younger side of the old heads, I'm still probably on the old head spectrum. And I have seen the dynasty, and I do know the standards are, and thus I won't accept anything less. Right. And so that's where there's kind of like a fight going on between, like, there's a faction, right? We got one side that's saying, hey, I've never seen this Yankees team to win before. I think you guys are just stuck in the past. This Yankee team's really good. And you got the older heads that are like, this is not acceptable. World Series are bust. And the Yankees, well, the Yankees are no longer in the business of winning championships. Because they to be honest, I think that they're quite happy with just making the playoffs. They're no longer in the business of competing against the LA Dodgers. They're no longer in that business.
No, not even close.
No, not even close.
I also wanted to add, we talked about the Yankees and their organizational incompetence, all these different things about different expectations. Just remember, there were some fans who decided to cheer on the Yankees for this. Remember when the Yankees sent articles out, now I don't know if it was Clappish or Heyman specifically, that the Yankees beat Scott Boras in the negotiations for Cody Bellinger. The Yankees gave themselves a pat on the back. Yeah, we showed him. We showed him. We got our years and our price for him. No, you didn't. You did not get your price for Cody Bellinger. You had no backup plan, and Scott Boras saw you right through. And I'm sorry, unfortunately, some fans are seeing it as, oh, well, Cashman beat Boras. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Because by the time Cody Bellinger reaches his mid-30s, he's going to have 2 opt-outs. And is he going to opt out? Stupid man. Cody Bellinger's not stupid. He's not going to opt out. He's going to be 34, 35 years old. And his opt-outs are $34, $35 million a year. And when he can opt in or opt out. Why would he opt out at $35 million at that point in his career? He's not going to be getting more unless he has some sort of insane run that hasn't been seen before. He knows who the player he's been throughout his career. He's been extremely streaky. He's been extremely fluky. He knows he's not in the prime of his career anymore. He's a solid outfielder, no doubt about that. But I'll have to look up because I don't think even the mutual option has been revealed yet because I think it's like some sort of negotiable thing. I'll have to look it up on Spot Track, but I literally do not even. I don't know what the Yankees were thinking in that contract. It's not like they were, as I remarked, and I know I was receiving some pushback in the chat. I was like, the Yankees don't make the power move anymore. And yes, they did sign Max Fried last year. That was a power move. I'm talking offensive side of the ball. I'm talking about hitting. I'm talking about position players. When was the last time that the Yankees made? And here's another one. I'm sorry. No trade clause for a non-star player. This isn't Giancarlo Stanton.
I was going to get to that point.
This isn't Aaron Judge. This is not Juan Soto. For Cody Bellinger, freaking Bellinger, a no trade clause. The Mets didn't do that. They went on and trade for Luis Robert. The Blue Jays didn't do that. The Dodgers, they went out to sign Tucker. They caught the Yankees red-handed, and now the Yankees have egg on their face. But they don't, in their opinion. They said, you know what, we won. Scott Boras has the one that is the one that has egg on his face in the Yankee perception, of course.
No, that's it. That's the spot. That is absolutely spot on. I view this contract as a 4-year deal. I do not view this as like a 2-year and then an opt out, or a 3-year then another opt out. I look upon this as a 4-year deal because I don't see any reason why Bellinger will opt out of this, unless he suddenly, after in the second year, suddenly turns into Juan Soto, which is almost impossible. He's not going to go back to what he was in 2019. It's 2026.
7 years.
That's a long time. But the Yankees are paying him are treating him like he is an MVP. He hasn't been since 2019. He wasn't even an all-star last year. They are going crazy over last year. It wasn't even an all-star caliber year. I don't know what they're paying for. Who do they think that he is? Giving him a full no trade is a terrible mistake. So basically, this is a 4-year deal, and I don't see that there's any way that they're getting out of this until after year 4. Now, we can live with it because he can play defense at a high level. He can maybe play some first base, and he can play a number of positions. But if you're expecting him to be the Bellinger of last year, in a couple of years, that's not going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if he bats similar to last year. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a good year, but I just don't see that being a thing that's going to continue over a 4-year period. I think this is a bad contract. I think this is a bad contract. I think this is a contract where, had they signed him along with another free agent, had they signed him along with one of a Bo Bichette or one of a Pete Alonso or one of an Okamoto or one of insert trade name, I would be okay with that. I'm not going to be gluttonous and say they should have paid Kyle Tucker and him, but if you wanted to have Cody Bellinger, I think you probably should have been able to sign one other free agent. There were a couple out there that could have really helped this team out. Maybe an Alex Bregman, anything really, Corey Seager, something. But I just don't think this is going to age well.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it disgusting, frankly, that the media have jumped into bed with the Yankees and are doing the Yankees bidding. Having these articles like Bob Klapisch, who I have a lot of respect for as a writer, writing stuff like, oh, George will be proud of his son today. This kind of stuff. I mean, come on. Come on. Don't even put them in the same category, really. It's not a great contract. It's nothing to be proud of. Oh, he managed to get Scott Boras off a 7th or 6th year to settle for 5 years of a massive overpay and a full no trade clause. That means if Cody Bellinger struggles at any point of this contract, we can't get out of it. How is that something where we go, yay? Let's go. And then you got articles where they're like, oh wow, Brian Cashman and his executive team are high-fiving and patting each other on the back. Great job, because they got a win. They pile drived him into the snow and all this crap. It's all just hyperbole, and it honestly, it's based on fiction. It's based on fiction. The truth is, the Yankees overplayed their hand. They overbid to start with. They only finally got a hold of themselves towards the end of the negotiations. And then they started to find a backbone, right? So, yeah, okay, they managed to stop it from going into 6 or 7 years. Good on you. But to be fair, you probably could have had you not overbid and had you not revealed your hand, and if you actually had a backup plan, and if you actually did work the rest of the offseason, and then signed Bellinger as a supplementary piece along with that, then you probably could have gotten those numbers down. And at least you would have had a bargaining position. But the Yankees had no bargaining position because no one's talking about the fact that Brian Cashman announced his hand before the offseason started. You never do that, especially not when the opposing agent is Scott Boras. So I don't know why there's so much like high-fiving and patting each other on the back and all that stuff. I don't like that. I think it's a bad look. It just seems like the Yankees are far too self-satisfied for me. And meanwhile, while they're patting each other on the back, the Mets go and get the ace that we wanted. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I think the Yankees are going to regret that. I think they're going to regret that contract. Whether maybe not be next year, but it'll be the year after. They're at some point, very, very soon, they're going to regret that Bellinger contract. I'm pretty convinced of that. But what they will do is they will regret being so self-satisfied because they're far too self-satisfied, very self-satisfied. I don't think that there's another organization in the sport that is as self-satisfied as the Yankees, and it's very hard to get behind it because, as you say, there's no recourse for underachieving. And to be fair, they view just making the playoffs in any regard as a win, and then they sell it as that, and they patent it as that, and then that's it. I mean, listen, there's no even any accountability for Anthony Volpe, so why will there be any accountability for Brian Cashman? Anthony Volpe over under 15 errors. Oh, bro, he's clearing that. Andy Carnival's 14. No, he's clearing that. He'll be in the 19 range again, 17, 18. Don't forget that Volpe's errors probably should have been doubled last year, right?
Yes.
Because the major leagues put on a directive for the scorers to try and give the benefit of the doubt to the hitter in order to have hits go up and error numbers go down. So those were just 19 egregious errors. There was another 10 that Volpe should have gotten that weren't called because they're trying to give the benefit of the doubt to the hitter and have hits go up. But that is just something that I do know. That is something that majors did do. So really, Volpe's errors should have been in the 30 range. And he's a very, very lucky boy. Very, very lucky boy.
I was going to say real quick, here's a statistic. It's an interesting one, by the way. This was on January 21st, 2026. The 2028 Yankees, 2 years from now, will have the following. Aaron Judge, 36 years old, making $40 million. 38-year-old Garrett Cole making $36 million. 34-year-old Max Fried making $27 million. 35-year-old Carlos Rodon making $27 million, and 33-year-old Cody Bellinger making $32 million.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I will say about that is inflation. So I'm not going to worry too much about those contract numbers because, as it turned out, for instance, Aaron Judge's contract is one of the biggest. Is like the steal of the century, right?
I'm not worried about that. No.
Yeah, but it just shows that as the years go on, like for instance, Kyle Tucker just signed a contract for like $60 million. So like, not overly concerned about that stuff. But
that's a short-term deal with deferrals, so it's not like
right.
They'll get the
yeah, I get the point though. It's just like we're gonna have a very aging team pretty soon,
and there's no future. There's
And
no
there's no
future.
future. Yeah, because there's no World Series coming. We've got a new chat. Anthony Barker, salute to you, my friend. Did the big trade coming by the Yankees? I don't know for what, and I don't know
He
if
thinks
for
there's a big
who.
trade coming because the Bellinger deal is not official, quote unquote, yet.
Well, I guess we'll wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised, but do you think it'll be involving? I think it might be probably involving Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez. I wouldn't be surprised because the Yankees probably want to clear up a spot.
Yeah, 40 man. Just remember, Donald, Paul Blackburn has a spot in the 40 man.
Yeah, well, that's good because he's going to be so key to our World Series run. Let's talk about our lineup because I think this is where the Yankees are kind of overrating their team.
Yes.
I like our pitching. Even though the bullpen, I think, is worse than last year, I think the Yankees are overrating their offense.
I agree with that.
And first of all, here's why. They didn't add another righty bat. I think it's pretty embarrassing that they didn't move one of their lefty bats to acquire a righty bat. I think that's embarrassing. It's clearly a problem.
Right.
And they think that just by adding some righty bench pieces that it's going to turn this thing around, or as Brian Cashman mentioned, platoon, like it's some sort of big new like a new thing in baseball.
Yes.
Platoon. I don't see that making any difference whatsoever. So Ben Rice, happy with first base, although he's not a first baseman, he's a catcher. But offensively, happy with. Defensively, not happy with. But overall, I'm okay with Ben Rice. Second base, Jazz Chisholm. I'm not the biggest Jazz Chisholm fan, and I know you aren't either, Luca. Good player, heads in the clouds. I could give or take him, to be honest. Like offensively, like him a lot. Defensively, like him a lot. But his head's in the clouds. His head's in the absolute clouds.
You know what? I got to say this about.
I'm okay with it. I would have been all right with moving him. To be fair, I think it would have been a smart deal had they traded him and then signed Bo Bichette and put him at second base. I think that would have made a hell of a lot of sense. Anyway, so that's Jazz Chisholm. I wouldn't say it's a problem, but we'll see. Shortstop, Anthony Volpe, massive problem. Massive problem. And the Yankees are taking no responsibility for it. Terrible problem. McMahon, good player. I'm actually a fan of McMahon, but I love his glove, but offensively, that's not going to get any better. That's a 200 strikeout guy. That's barely going to clear 20 home runs. I don't see any massive jump from McMahon. I think this is who he is. So I think he's going to retreat to the mean. I think Anthony Volpe, we've already seen him at his mean. I think he's going to regress. Jazz Chisholm will be much of a muchness. I think he'll probably hit 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases, but I think it'll be for a high ton of strikeouts and a low on base percentage. All right, so then we get to Austin Wells, a catcher. Great catcher. Don't like his bat as much as I liked before.
Right.
I think he's a low batting average, high strikeout guy, which the whole lineup is.
Pretty much, yeah. Same
and, yeah, and he goes into prolonged slumps. He hasn't really hit well in well over a year. I don't see how that's going to change. I don't really like it. I like him as a catcher. I just think he's a platoon catcher. I don't think he's an everyday catcher. So anyway, we move on to Trent Grisham. I think if there's one player I guarantee is going to have a slight regression. I'm not going to say a massive regression, but he'll have a slight regression. I think it'll be Trent Grisham. But again, he's another high strikeout, low on base percentage guy, another lefty bat, another all or nothing hitter, which goes along with Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Volpe, Ryan McMahon, a whole bunch of them are very similar in that regard. Low on base, high strikeout, kind of hit a home run or do nothing at all kind of a guy. Not a lot. Grisham is better than those ones that I've mentioned, but I think he's going to regress a little bit because look at his career numbers. This was his career year. He's not suddenly just magically turned into a superstar hitter. They're going to regret that $22.5 million. Again, timestamp that. So we then move on. We got Cody Bellinger. He will probably regress slightly from last year, but I think he'll have a good year. And I think we'll be okay with him. He'll be fine. Aaron Judge will be Aaron Judge, and Big G will be Big G. He'll be great as long as he's healthy, but he won't be healthy for a chunk of the season. My major takeaway is the fact that those that keep talking about all the Yankees were the best team, best offense in the majors last year are overlooking the fact that Aaron Judge had a historic year. That's like 60% of why the Yankees were the number one team in the majors, because Aaron Judge did a lot of stuff himself. And that's why the Yankees banking on this just to be repeated is a mistake, because you're going to ask Aaron Judge to be historic again. I mean, what he did last year, that shit just doesn't happen. He had an OPS of 1.144, 1,144. You know what I'm saying? A slug of almost 700. An on-base percentage of almost 500. He was almost on base 50% of the time. He had a batting average of 331. He walked 124 times. He still drove in 114 runs, and he hit 53 home runs. And he had a career high 137 137 runs. He had a career high on base percentage, a career high slug, almost a career high OPS. These are all ridiculous, stupendous numbers. That's why the offense was the best in the majors last year. Aaron Judge was about 60% of that. So to ask Aaron Judge and then ask those guys that I mentioned to have the same year, exactly the same year, is implausible in the extreme, because what they're going to do is they're just going to start walking Aaron Judge more. What reason is there to pitch to Aaron Judge? So even if Aaron Judge has exactly the same year as last year, which is unlikely, but let's say he has exactly the same year, you're saying that those guys that I mentioned all have to have very similar years and none of them can regress. The chances of that are almost non-existent. Almost non-existent. I don't know what the Yankees are banking on here. I don't know what they think that they're dealing with. Their roster construction is extremely flawed, and they will regret it, in my opinion. That's my personal opinion. Break down the offense for us.
Yeah, question here from Duran. He says, crazy flex move by the Yankees, ? Trade McMahon and sign Suarez, who's unsigned, by the way, for third base. Trade for Brendan Donovan. Trade Jazz Chisholm to open second base for Donovan. Donald, I want to hear your thoughts on that first.
Yeah, I'd be willing to. I would actually be willing to move off McMahon to take a step back on defense for Suarez, because I do think this offense is going to take a step back, and we probably do need a righty. We definitely need a righty bat. Absolutely, definitely. So, I would actually do that.
And things with Donovan, I'm even surprised the Yankees haven't even inquired about Brendan Donovan, because number one, he's controllable. Number two, Jazz Chisholm is a contract here. I'm not saying outright that Donovan's better than Chisholm, but you're going to see more consistency from Donovan. He was an all-star last year with the Cardinals. Cardinals could look towards rebuilding. Donovan's not a free agent until 2028, so he avoided arbitration this year. He's in the arbitration next year. Let's look at the numbers for Brendan Donovan, shall we? It's borderline consistency. And yes, it's not the modern player hitting like how many home runs and RBIs and all that stuff. So last year, in about 460 at-bats, 10 home runs, 50 RBIs. He's kind of a rare player. He's, as we mentioned, he's a versatile player. He can play second, third. I think he played a little outfield and short. 10 home runs, 50 RBIs, 287 batting average, 353 on base percentage, 775 OPS. I want to pull up his OPS plus, but he's, I don't want to say 119 OPS plus, which is very solid. You're getting a solid infielder. Is he like ultra talented? No, but at most you're getting consistency. But Suarez, on the other hand, he's high power, a lot of strikeouts. I don't think he performed particularly well in the playoffs. I could be wrong about that. But he's still a free agent, which I'm stunned by. I'm very stunned as why he's a free agent. Maybe, I don't know if the Mariners had a qualifying offer or whatnot, but Suarez is still out there. He's still out there for the Yankees if they wanted to get rid of McMahon. But somebody mentioned in the chat that the Yankees would have to partially eat McMahon's contract because he is earning about $16 million this year. And I like
and again, I think as much as I like the player, and I like the trade in terms of like you gave up nothing to acquire someone who was actually a good contributor in the postseason. That contract is almost a hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Yankees always operate in a vacuum. It's just like they never pay attention to the big picture. By making that deal at the deadline, it meant you can't upgrade at third base. And they needed to. And right. I think they're kind of stuck with this contract that I don't think it's going to get any better.
No.
And there's not any teams that are going to beat down your door for him. You know? So the Mets fan is asking if Jazz Chisholm is really that much worse than a Brandon Donovan. I like Donovan more. I think he's more of someone that you can win a championship with than a Jazz Chisholm. I just don't. I think Jazz Chisholm, as I say, his head's in the clouds.
We miss those guys with intangibles, no? Because remember Tommy Edman? Remember how much of a big acquisition he was for the Dodgers? He won them a World Series or two.
Great acquisition.
Guys with intangibles, the unsung heroes, if you will. Brendan Donovan, I think, would be one of those players. I really do. I really think McMahon.
And Issa Diva has a really good point here. This should tell you how poorly our roster was constructed. A so-called World Championship organization fielded an entire team all season without a right-handed hitting catcher. That's egregious. It is crazy. How is that even possible? Duran says McMahon is solid. His contract is pretty average by current standards. Yes, however, he has very low value around the rest of the league. That's just a fact because there's no teams that are going to be calling for Ryan McMahon. They don't want to take on that contract because it doesn't really fit because he strikes out too much, doesn't really get on base as much. His power is declining. He's not really. He's basically just a glove, and it's pretty expensive for what we're paying him. So. Yeah, they would take on 50% of it, though. But, the Yankees don't want to keep paying people to not be there because they already have a chunk of their roster which they're paying off for not being there, i.e. Aaron Hicks and frickin' DJ LeMahieu and all. They've already been doing that for years, so they probably don't want to keep doing that. Yeah, I like him. I like Ryan McMahon. He's actually one of the few in this team I actually do like. It's just that I don't like his bat enough, and I don't like the fact he's another lefty bat. We needed a righty bat in there, man. We really desperately needed it, and we just didn't do it. So I don't really know. Just look at who do you think is going to have a breakout year, and who do you think is due to have another decline, and have the Yankees overrated their offense?
Well, let's go through. Well, I'll go throughout the lineup this time of the alignment. First base, you have Ben Rice. I think he's going to continue mashing. I don't see a reason for him regressing. Second base, Jazz Chisholm. I'm sorry, I don't think he's going to have a good as year last year, even considering the strikeouts and all that. Yes, he was a 33 player. Yes, he has speed. Yes, he has all the talent. But once again, way too focused on power. I don't like his ego, whatever you want to say. He's not a guy who's fulfilling his potential. I think he regresses. I think he takes a step back, and I think it would be concerning if he took a step back because let's just say, Chisholm is struggling at the All-Star break, and the Yankees, let's just say there's a second baseman out there that the Yankees could trade for. They would have a hard time trading Jazz Chisholm, in my opinion. That's a potential concern, and that's what the lack of foresight with the Yankees is. So, I mean, Chisholm, I think he takes a step back. I don't have anything against him personally. I mean, the one thing, as I said, I don't like is the mouth. And, obviously, Tats was talking about on Friday how, sometimes as fans we're like, well, we don't see any, character guys on this team who are vocal. But then you get Jazz Chisholm and it's like, okay, he's too vocal. But no, there's a happy medium involved where there's too quiet of a guy and then there's too loud of a guy. There's a happy medium involved.
Yeah.
Jazz Chisholm is way too far at the extreme of a guy who runs his mouth. He guaranteed that the Yankees would win the World Series in 2024. You guys should look that up. That is very true, by the way. He just runs too far at the mouth. And number two, he doesn't play well in the playoffs. Remember when he yawned? Remember his play against the Blue Jays? He was awful. He was borderline unplayable for somebody who has speed and the talent that he has. He's just not
benched. He got benched.
He got benched, yes, and then he turned his back to the media like this. But I'm just tired of his antics. But regardless, let's move to shortstop. You got Caballero, great speed, doesn't have a lot of potential with the bat, but he's solid defensively. Volpe's going to come back, which is going to be the Grim Reaper coming back, unfortunately. So it's true though. It's the Grim Reaper coming back. It's like, oh God, he's back again. So I don't see any big jump at the shortstop position. I think you're going to get what you're going to get out of Caballero. Don't have a major issue with him.
Here he comes to wreck the day.
I just see Caballero.
That's Anthony Volpe.
Yeah. I just see Caballero as more of a utility player. I have no disrespect against him. He's great with speed, more of a pinch runner off the bench, but I guess he's serviceable for right now. Volpe, obviously, as I said, is the Grim Reaper. Ryan McMahon, I think he's the player who he is. I don't think he takes a step forward or back. He's good for the occasional home run. He's very good defensively, has an awesome glove, but the offensive liability, I just can't help. But the problem is, and I've mentioned this on multiple shows, if you're going to have a defensive-minded third baseman in McMahon, you need an offensive-minded shortstop. And that ideally would have been Bo Bichette to cover up his weaknesses or to cover up their weaknesses as a complementary player. As for, let's go with, Aaron Judge, it's hard to expect him to put up the superstar, like the gargantuan numbers that he's put up in the past years. It's insane to expect that. And I'm not underrating his talent, of course, but how many years could you see this production going on? Then you move to center field. You have Trent Grisham. And Grisham, be it as it may, I think he takes a step back this year. Me and Donald were one of the ones that said, hey, this dude's contract year in 2025, that is so not sustainable. The Yankees ought to not re-sign him whatsoever. But they gave him the qualifying offer, which was stupid, which Grisham, not stupid, obviously said, you know what? I doubt I'm going to get this much money elsewhere. Let me take the 1 year. Let me see if I can play up to the level, but I don't think he will. As for Bellinger, I think he takes a step back. I think you'll see the fluky nature or the fluky nature of his career that has been for the past how many years. I think he takes a step back. I think his defense will be fine, but the bat takes a step back, and it's quite unfortunate. I think you'll see limited playing time for Jason Dominguez. He gets traded for scraps. Spencer Jones, we won't see for a bit, in my personal opinion. And in terms of catcher, that should be Ben Rice at that position, not Austin Wells. Austin Wells has disappointed me in the past few years. Not good last year defensively. He's fine. But the Yankees, I just see a lot of hypotheticals with this offense. You need a lot of – it's not like, okay, we can rely on this guy because we've – and I said this last show. We can rely on said guy because he's done it in the past and he's in the prime of his career. Like, you can't say that for most players. It's most like, okay, we have to hope this guy puts up this number of production because he's only had 1 year of it, i.e. Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, maybe even Jazz Chisholm to an extent. But I just see a lot of hypotheticals. I see a lot of risk being taken. I don't see a lot of positive solutions.
I agree. Everything has to go right for this to be the same offense as last year. Uh, Jose Caballero over under 25 stolen bases over, comfortably over,
I agree.
comfortably over, bro. Um, so final question before we sign off.
Yes.
Luca, are the Yankees a better team than last year?
No. Unfortunately not. And I know people will say, "Oh, well, Garrett Cole's coming back healthy." Oh, well, as they remarked earlier in the show, Aaron Boone or whoever it was, Michael K, whoever, they basically said, "Oh, well, our trade deadline acquisitions were the upgrades for this season because obviously Doval has control, McMahon has control for an amount of years. Jake Bird, I mean, sucks, but he's in the minor leagues right now. But at the end of the day, I don't think this is a better team. I think they didn't go up, they didn't go down, they went left or right, whatever
Mm-hmm.
lateral direction you want to choose. They went lateral. They went lateral. They've added, if I'm not mistaken, besides these stupid minor league deals, they've not signed anybody outside the organization. Not one. Not one major league contract. I mean, yes, they acquired Ryan Weathers. Okay.
Cade Winquist, baby.
Yes, of course. Not one player, not one, was signed out. Not one in free agency was signed outside the organization. And let me see if I can run through real quick before we sign off some of the top free agents that are left over. And again, not a lot of great names, not a lot of sexy names, if you want to call it that. Let's look through the free agents, right? Available free agents as we see. Let's see. Jordan Montgomery, Nick Martinez, Starling Marte, Framber Valdez. Oh, I can see why they're avoiding Valdez because, or I should say most teams, because it has these stupid MLB rules. Same thing with Zach Allen. He was offered a qualifying offer. He
Oh,
rejected
yeah, I
it.
hate that.
So any team that signs him will have to give up a draft pick, which is stupid.
I hate that. I really do.
Reese Hoskins. I mean, again, it's a very dry market as we see right now. Chris Bassett, Starling Marte, Lucas Giolito, Miles McCollum, Michael Conforto, Reese Hoskins, Marcell Ozuna, Frankie Montas, David Robertson, who's 40, Scherzer 41, Verlander 42. I'm not going to say I'm stunned by this name. I'm curious to see how your thoughts are because you kind of have the same old school mindset as me, Donald. Not great defensively. Maybe you pair Donovan at short, just in the scenario. How do you feel about Luis Arias not even being signed?
It's crazy that Luis Arias hasn't been signed. I mean, you're talking about someone that consistently bats over 300 and has like 200 hits a year, and it just shows where baseball is right now. They don't view batting average as something that's to be valued. Now, I know he doesn't play defense. I get that, but they just don't view someone who's a banjo hitter that can only bat for a high average as something that has any value in modern day baseball. And I think that it's a shame. Now, I'm not saying that he's much of a game changer, but
Right.
for him to be unsigned at this stage is pretty crazy considering his consistent productivity in terms of batting average. Not a perfect player by any stretch of the imagination, but for him to be out of work 2 weeks before pitchers and catchers, again, I think there's middle ground. I think he's a good player. He should have a job, and I think any team that will hire him will be lucky to have him. Would I have him at this stage? Probably not, because I just don't know where we would play him, but he should be signed. I like Eugenio Suarez. That's someone that definitely should be signed. I know he had a bad
Playoffs, and he's not good defensively.
Bad post trade. Like he struggled after the trade, but he was raking prior. And I think you can unlock something there. So that's what I would be paying attention to. But no, your previous question, bro. I really like Arias. I would like to see him more. And I hope that he does well wherever he goes. I've always liked him. Not maybe to the point where I would say the Yankees should sign him, but I like him as a player. And it just, I think there's a middle ground. I think I'm okay with analytics, and I'm okay with like focusing on things like OPS and OBP and OPS
Right.
plus and weighted runs created plus and all these new statistics that paint a picture of a player. But to say that batting average doesn't matter, I think is a joke. And I think that the fact that Arias is out of work and Anthony Volpe is your everyday shortstop is also a joke. Like, in no world should Luis Arias be unemployed and Anthony Volpe be guaranteed a spot as a Yankee. That's where there needs to be middle ground. So let's yes.
Suarez got hit on the wrist before he got traded to Seattle, which he did affect him. Be healthier.
No. Listen, I think the Yankees should acquire him, but they're all capped out. They're all done. They've done their off season. So I'll answer the question: are the Yankees a better team than last year? No, they aren't a better team than they were last year because, in my opinion, treading water is going backwards. I use the analogy of if you're treading water in the ocean when the tide's going out, you're going backwards. You know what I'm saying? You ain't staying still. You definitely ain't moving forward either. You're going backwards, and that's what it's like. That's the Yankees right now. They're treading water when the tide is out, and you're just going backwards. It's as simple as that. And other teams have been more aggressive, and I honestly think that the way that the media have defended the Yankees is nothing short of a disgrace. Brandon Cuddy has an article on The Athletic. The Athletic is something I pay a subscription to, and with an article entitled, "Yes, the Yankees are running back. No, that's not a bad thing." I seriously makes me want to cancel my subscription because that is absolutely offensive. It's offensive to my sensibilities.
It's absolute heresy.
It is, and it's asinine. It's an asinine thing to write, and that's something that you could maybe write on a Yankee fan blog. You could maybe write that on Twitter, but for an esteemed page like The Athletic, where you pay a subscription, a hefty subscription fee to read it, you shouldn't be employed by The Athletic, bro. You shouldn't. Not with that entitled article. No, it's not a bad thing. Are you joking me? It's not a good thing.
No.
It's not a good thing. And then you have Michael Kay yelling at fans saying, well, you won 94 games. What else do you want? I would like a successful postseason team. How about that? Because you don't win titles in the regular season.
No.
That doesn't exist. It's not the NBA. You don't get an NBA cup.
Exactly.
It's just making the postseason to see how far you can go. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
Do you think that the Rams are currently celebrating a fantastic season, considering they just lost the NFC Championship game yesterday? No, they'll probably look at it as a failure.
Same thing with the Broncos.
Right. Like, I'm sorry. It's all about being the last one standing. And the Yankees haven't been that since 2009. They should stop patting each other on the back. Stop telling each other how great they are. That is something that really annoys me. Stop telling us how great their process is. Stop using the media to tell fans that A, we're stupid, B, we're ungrateful, and C, we are spoiled. I don't know how you could claim that we're spoiled when we haven't won in 16 years. There's literally Yankee fans that have never once seen the Yankees win a World Series. A generation of Yankee fans, you're calling us spoiled. So all those things combined, they need to stop that. They need to stop attacking the fan base. They need to stop bigging each other up, because real winners don't tell you how great they are. Question. Do you hear the LA Dodgers saying we're great? We're the greatest. We're fantastic. No, we're very, very proud. Very, very proud. Do you hear that?
They're the antithesis, opposite, whatever you want to say, of complacent. They're like,
They
oh,
win every single year. They win every single year, and they don't once tell their fan base, "Good, we're great. We're the greatest. We're fantastic." Brian Cashman does. Why? I ask everybody here, why? Because the Yankees have something to hide. The Dodgers don't. Think the Blue Jays were like, yeah, we're fine. We're satisfied. We're cool. Did they do that? No, they didn't. A week after the season ended, they went and signed Dylan Cease. Why? Because the Yankees have something to hide, and those teams don't. Do not buy the narrative. Do not buy it anymore. Do not. Hold on, Donald. Over here is, well, there are a section of this Yankee fan base that are like that, man. So you're
satisfied with anything. Just like Keith McPherson, I brought up the other day, how he was basically saying, if you're not in the Yankee train, some fans aren't just happy. If you're not on the Yankee train, go root for one of the other 29 teams out there.
Exactly.
Which is
because
insane.
They do view, there are a section of the fan base that views if you criticize the Yankees that you're no longer a fan and that you're automatically a Met fan. And that's something that needs to stop. If you critique your team, it means you love them. Right? I'm not saying if you wave pom-poms for your team doesn't mean you don't love them. I'm just saying that you can fan however you want to fan, in my opinion. And I believe that personally, if you critique your Yankees, it means you love them a lot and you just want to you want them to be who they are. Right? So what the truth is that, anyway, let's get back to my original point. Those teams that are great don't tell you how great they are. The 98 to 2004 Yankees, over that dynasty, they never once pat each other on the back and we're great. We're just so good. I don't even know what to do with ourselves. We're just so good. They don't do that. They never did. They just won. They won. And if they didn't win, it was a disgrace, right? That's what they were. That was their attitude. Now, the Yankees literally disgrace themselves and they're like, we're so good. I don't even know how good we are. This is crazy how good we are. You guys need to bow down and kiss our feet because we're just so freaking good. That's why it's really hard to get behind this Yankee team, because they're just so arrogant. Like, this front office is arrogant and delusional. And the media defends it because the media is no longer working on behalf of the fans, is actually now working on behalf of the teams. And that's something that has changed over the last couple of years, where the media are now afraid of losing access to teams, thus now start working for the teams, which is never what the media used to be. The media used to
ask the tough questions.
They used to ask the tough questions and hold their teams to account, right? Regardless of access. Remember, Mike Francesa used to destroy the Giants coaches, eat them up for breakfast, right? He didn't care that he was going to lose access to them. He roasted them, roasted Pat Shermer, roasted Ben McAdoo for benching Eli Manning, destroyed him, eviscerated, disemboweled him, right? Do you think he cared that he lost media access? No, he did his job because that's his job, right? He did his job right. But now things have changed. The modern media is now attacking the fans, going, "You guys are ungrateful. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know anything." These guys do. And that's what's changed, and that's something that needs to change. And that's why podcasts such as ourselves are very, very important. That's why it's important to keep our lights on, because we will continue to give you our honest thoughts about where we're at. So please, hit the like button, hit the sub button, hit the share button, tell your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner, all the good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody, please do hit the like button. Have an excellent day. Please stay safe because it's freaking cold out there. It is cold out there. Thank you, Healing Men's Hearts. Much appreciated, my friend. It is cold out there. And as they say, much love. All right. See you next time.
Peace.
Peace.